Hey, so it's Ducati Scrambler 2018. Bought it almost exactly a year ago to the week. I wanted something kind of like an adventure bike. I have dirt bikes, I have dual sport, grew up racing motocross. Wanted to do some highway. Wanted this to be more of like a probably 70-30, 70 highway, maybe 70 street, 30 off-road. Commuted on it, ridden it forest roads, Jeep trails. Tried to catch a little bit of airtime on it. Got it because it looks good. I like the style. I liked having something a little bit different than like a KTM 690 or a larger adventure bike. For more of a street ride, more of something a little bit stylish. Got rid of traded a Harley Dyna Street Bob in for it. So we'll go over what I think. The year, I've got about 2,600 miles on it. It's flashing oil change. That's one of the things I don't like about it. Flashes that oil change even though I've changed the oil. So yeah, 26, 29. Changed the oil. I'm used to doing my own maintenance. It's meant to be taken to a dealer. Obviously Ducati's going to want you to spend your money at their service shops, and they have to get in and turn that off. I've looked at the manual, I've looked at YouTube. It's going to flash oil and annoy the hell out of you while you're riding, and apparently once it gets worse and worse, it goes off the mileage. It's going to go faster and faster. I think it gives you about 800-900 miles, and then it wants you to change the oil after break-in, which I did, but it's still flashing oil. Another thing is it's got this ABS, and I take the ABS off. Obviously, if you're riding any sort of dirt or anything, gives you a better feel for the braking. It constantly flashes ABS. It's like, why wouldn't it just like flash a couple times or have a small light, but constantly flashing, pretty annoying. This thing is maybe a little bit gimmicky. I might be a little bit spoiled growing up racing Japanese motocross bike. The transmission feels really notchy. Again, you can't beat a motocross bike, Japanese motocross bike. Smooth shifting, smooth engagement. I can find a false neutral in between each and every gear. It gets to kind of be a little bit scary when you're trying to take off under power. You really got to concentrate on getting a solid shift, making sure it's completely engaged. Good power, good sounding bike. Again, it just might not be as practical as one would hope for off-road riding. So it's been sitting out here in the freezing cold winter, so we've got snow on the ground. Fired right up. It's got a good exhaust note, even stock. It feels good. It doesn't feel too big, too bulky. It's a little bit wide, a little bit kind of heavy feeling, but all in all, for a street bike, it feels like it'd be it feels like a good supermoto bike. It handles really well on the tarmac when you're pounding pavement. It corners, carves a good line, very stable. Off-road, feels pretty good. I even actually raced it in a scrambler class at a flat track. It was a little bit scary riding this and knowing it's not paid for yet. Another thing, the brakes are really mushy. I know Ducati has a big racing background, and that's a pretty large rotor. I forget the millimeters. But both front and rear feel a little bit mushy, especially the rear. I think the rear is a little bit small. No, I haven't tried bleeding the brakes. This is all stock with 2,600 miles on it. Figured they'd get enough break-in time and get more of a positive feel, but they feel pretty mushy. Foot pegs, complete garbage. Like, these things get wet and they're death traps. They're just slippery. There's nothing there. Again, I'm used to racing dirt bikes with big aggressive pegs. But those things are not very trustworthy when they get wet. Feels all right riding 2-up. Feels all right suspension. I don't think it's gonna be like a great off-road bike for a lot of people. It does do like gravel roads and forest roads all right, but just even on the street, the things that you're gonna notice that I complain about would be notchy transmission. The brakes aren't very powerful. Those lights that drive me nuts on the dash or in the Speedo. The mirrors when you're standing up are in kind of an awkward position. Your thumbs want to hit them. So another thing I've noticed is sometimes the engine wants to hesitate. Doesn't feel like the tuning is what it should be. It kind of hesitates or cuts out. Kind of like wants to backfire, it sounds like. Not bad and not all the time, but it'll definitely hesitate when you're riding, maybe trying to accelerate or let the clutch out. The thing is, it seems like you really have to slip the clutch to get it to take off a lot more than what I would like to feel. You really have to rev it and then slip before it'll fully disengage or engage or whatever it's doing and to take off. It feels like it's a little bit high geared right off first gear. And then that's another complaint I guess I would have, is that going down the highway, the thing kind of being for an 800cc 801 or whatever it is, seems to struggle. Like 65, it feels to me, I'm running at about like 6,000 RPMs, 5,500 maybe. That feels like it's pretty wound out, pretty wrapped out doing 65. 70, 75, it feels like that's all you want to be doing at sustained RPMs. I mean, it'll touch 90 plus, and I think I've seen videos of guys going even faster than that. But I would imagine you're screaming. You'd be almost redlined, I would think, at 100 miles an hour. Extra wind resistance and everything's going to put an extra load on it. But yeah, the gearing's a little bit weird, just kind of awkward. Like I said, maybe I'm spoiled growing up and still having dirt bikes, but this thing feels good, handles good, everything's there. It just kind of everything around the package doesn't feel very good. Brakes, shifting, the gearing on it, just the constant flashing of the dash. So there's my rant. Had pretty high expectations of it. Don't really have anything else to compare it to. Can't say that the KTM 690 would be a whole lot better on the street than this thing. Handles good and everything, but that new Triumph 1200 I think would be something to compare it to, comparable. Also a stylish, cool Scrambler type bike, but then again, maybe the engineering, this is Italian, that's I think British. Japanese would still have them outdone. Maybe the Austrian company and whatever that white Swedish brand is now could be competitive, but still making payments, still riding. All right.